Well, it's Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. I'm Brittany Noble, and here's what's coming up today on The Breakdown. A wellness check in Maryland turns devastating. A Black father of 6 has now died after a confrontation with police in Baltimore County. Midterm voting is underway in North Carolina and Texas. In Texas, Democrats are locked in a tight U.S. Senate primary battle between Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett and State Representative James Talarico. And more Black women are making bold career pivots, choosing purpose over pressure and fulfillment over fear. If you ever wondered whether it's time to shift, reset, or completely reinvent, well, today's conversation is for you. The Breakdown starts now. Well, the 2026 midterms for North Carolina and Texas are underway. In Texas today, voters will decide on several statewide seats, as well as who will represent their party in a November general election. Today's outcome will be shaped by multiple hotly contested statewide races, including the U.S. Senate race on both the Republican and Democratic sides of the primaries. It's a close race for Democrats between U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett and State Representative James Talarico. U.S. Representative Jasmine Crockett, an outspoken Trump critic endorsed by former Vice President Kamala Harris, has highlighted her experience in Congress and federal funding secured for her district. According to CNN, Crockett held the lead in January and early February polls. But among Democrats, Talarico edges Crockett 52% to 47%, according to recent Emerson College polling. On Friday, a U.S. district judge in Eastern District of Missouri dismissed the multi-state lawsuit challenging the SAVE plan. The SAVE plan is a federal income-driven repayment plan that is designed to lower student loan payments. Judge John Ross ruled that the case was moot because both parties no longer held opposing legal positions. As a result of this dismissal, the Department of Education is now legally required to continue administering the plan, allowing borrowers to benefit from lower monthly payments and faster loan forgiveness, at least temporarily. Well, if you're in D.C., you'll see large banners featuring the faces of historical notable figures hung from the Department of Education building. Charlie Kirk, Turning Point leader and Donald Trump supporter who was assassinated in September of 2025, was included along with Benjamin Franklin, Martin Luther King Jr., Catherine Beecher, and Booker T. Washington, with a slogan that reads, "Empowering our states to tell the stories of our heroes in American education." Kirk, a college dropout, conservative activist, was among the group of people who actually made a difference in education. Another banner reads, "Recharting the course toward a brighter future for American education." The Department of Education released this statement about the banners. "We are proud to honor visionary leaders whose contributions have shaped the future of education for generations. Their work reflects Benjamin Franklin's timeless belief that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. As our country marks a historic 250th milestone, this moment invites us all to join in pursuit of fostering educational opportunity that empowers every learner to rise, contribute, and help shape a brighter future for generations to come." Well, a Black man in Maryland, critically injured after a physical altercation with Baltimore County police, has died. The incident happened on February 16th around 3:30 in the morning when Baltimore County officer Derek Hedel responded to a call for a wellness check on a driver who had been sitting at a traffic light for an extended period. According to the case, the officer woke Samuel Brown and noticed the smell of alcohol on his breath. Allegedly, Brown then got out of his car, confronted the officer, hitting him in the arm. That officer punched back. Brown fell, hitting his head on the pavement. The father of 6 sustained a broken jaw, a broken nose, and suffered permanent brain damage. Brown's family is calling for transparency and the immediate release of body camera footage. Friends and family of Brown are now questioning how a wellness check turned into something fatal.
2 days ago, the doctors made it clear to myself and the family that they've done all they can and he has been moved since to hospice care. My question is very simple today. How does a wellness check end up in something that's potentially death by force of a Baltimore County police officer?
The Baltimore Police Department released body-worn camera footage tied to the fatal police-involved shooting of a 37-year-old Black man. That shooting happened on February 24th around 6:16 p.m. on Bel Air Road. In the video, officers Arthur Foog, Omar Rodriguez, and Devin Yancey are seen entering the liquor store where they spot Hawkins, who was with a group of people. The group leaves, including Hawkins. The officers began to follow him outside, believing he was armed. As the video continues, Hawkins is walking and then begins to run as Foog, Rodriguez, and Yancey pursue him. The officers shout repeated commands for him to stop and show his hands. In the video, police say he is then seen pulling out a handgun while moving closer to Foog before Foog and Rodriguez fired their service weapons, wounding him 17 times. At a press conference on Saturday, BPD Commissioner Richard Warley explained the case, saying his officers were in the area working crime suppression.
They're doing exactly what we want them to do. They're going in there, they're trying to get all guns off the street. Clearly, they were drawn to this individual who they were extremely correct. He had a handgun. People were grieving. I feel for the family. They're grieving the loved one that they lost. But when they've seen the body-worn camera video, and they've seen that he had a handgun in his hand, he refused to drop it numerous times. He's a convicted felon that should not even have had a handgun. And as he comes up to the second officer, he reaches his hand up towards the officer's gun. And unfortunately, the officer fired.
Hawkins was taken to a nearby hospital where he was later pronounced dead. This is not the first police-involved shooting involving officers Rodriguez and Yancey. Both were involved in an incident in July of 2025 that resulted in the death of a well-known street vendor, Balil Abdullah Jr. Well, a 2022 survey has identified between 60 and 88 unmarked burial sites in Stafford County, Virginia, believed to contain the remains of enslaved Africans. The Brent family want to own the land dating back to the 1600s. Previous archaeological digs conducted between 1995 and 2002 also revealed additional unmarked graves near a brick wall along a slope leading into a swampy area. Researchers are currently working to locate historical records and descendants related to the enslaved individuals buried at the site. No excavations will take place without the support of those descendants. In the meantime, the site will be monitored to protect the graves from erosion. Well, coming up on the breakdown, right after the break, more Black women are making bold career pivots and redefining what success looks like on their own terms. If you've been feeling the pull to shift, reset, or realign, this conversation is for you. And remember, for more news, headlines, and in-depth coverage 24 hours a day, please visit the Black Star Network. We are your source for stories that matter to our community. We'll be right back. You're watching The Breakdown with Brittany Noble and the Black Star Network.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
If in this country right now, you have people get up in the morning and the only thing they can think about is how many people they can hurt, and they got the power, that's the time for mourning.
For better or worse, what makes America special, it's that legal system that's supposed to protect minorities from the tyranny of the majority.
We are at a point of a moral emergency. We must raise a voice of outrage. We must raise a voice of compassion. And we must raise a voice of unity.
We are not in a crisis of party versus party. We are in a crisis of civilization, a human rights crisis, and a crisis of democracy itself. And guess what? You've been chosen to make sure that those that would destroy, those that would hate, don't have the final say, and they don't ultimately win.
I'm Reecie Colbert, and you're watching the Black Star Network.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Kayla Clough. She is a journalist who made a bold career pivot and is now helping other women navigate theirs with clarity and confidence. Kayla, we want to welcome you on the breakdown today.
Thanks so much for having me, Brittany. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Kayla, tell us a little bit about your career and who you are.
Yeah, sure. So my journey as a journalist started at CBS News as a NABJ baby. We probably crossed paths at conventions in the past. And yeah, my career brought me from broadcast news at CBS to Entertainment Tonight in Los Angeles. And ever since, I've been paying it forward by doing mentoring with NABJ in LA, also different nonprofits based in New York City. And yeah, with the pivot of the news industry, I've decided to, take my own make my own chances, right? So I've also been diving into the world of commercial acting and print modeling. I just did an appearance on the Drew Barrymore show. So I've really been taking life by the horns. And so I'm really glad to have this conversation.
Nice. Tell us what the moment was when you realized it was time to make a pivot.
Yeah, the moment happened for me even before I was laid off. I had a moment when I was in the newsroom and I said, you know what, I cannot do another late night carpet. And yes, I love the career that I've had and I really enjoy and cherish those moments, but something clicked in me and I said, you know what, I really want the freedom to take control over my own destination in life and career.
So I see that you wrote an article for Business Insider. Working at a summer camp as a media director was the reset I needed after getting laid off from a job I love. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, I found out about the opportunity through a good friend of mine. Shout out to Venetia. She's an amazing friend of mine. But I think just seeing her journey as a multi-hyphen and so many creatives around me really taking the leap and not focusing on one path just made me more courageous in a sense to take that leap. And I got to bond with not only so many creatives during that camp experience, but also just campers and students and being more into them and from another perspective of a Black woman doing different things. And it was it was such a rewarding experience.
Well, tell us about money, how should we financially prepare before making a major career move?
Yeah, I'd say have a strong support system. I wouldn't be able to do the things that I'm doing now without having a strong foundation at home and so many different networks that I'm a part of, just a wide range of, and also just different colleagues over time. Since I've been relocated from Los Angeles to New York, I've really leaned into some of my former colleagues and checking in on what they're doing, supporting what they have going on. And so it's not just a, hey, I need something, but it's also pouring back into the people who helped you along the way and just being along for the ride.
You know, there's also this identity tied to our careers, especially being journalists. When you pivoted, did you struggle with, okay, who am I without this CBS News behind me?
I'm still doing that now, Brittany. Okay. But yes, absolutely. I've had breaking points but I think it took those breaking points for me to push through it and come to a realization of saying, hey, you still are that girl, right? You were still that. And now it's less of building and we're expanding. And I'm more focused on how to expand to that next chapter. Not be afraid of it.
Yeah. So for those women who feel called to pivot, but they don't feel ready, any suggestions for them, if you will?
Yeah, I'd say pour into yourself first, really. And like you said, that identity between career and just individuality, make sure you understand who you are. And then the next steps will follow. A light bulb will go off and you'll get some clarity for sure.
All right, Kayla Clough, thank you for being so open and for sharing your story about how you were able to pivot. So inspiring.
Thank you so much, Brittany.
Absolutely. Well, coming up next on The Breakdown, the U.S. partners with Israel to strike Iran. Roland Martin and Marine veteran turned Newport News Mayor Philip Jones talk about what this action could actually mean for our country. Have you come across a news story that deserves our attention? We would love to hear from you. So please, if you don't mind, we have a QR code. It's on the screen right now. If you could just scan that QR code and then just submit your ideas to us. Anybody that you want us to talk to, any business owner that you want us to connect with. If there's something happening in your community that you want us to investigate, let us know and we will be happy to connect with you. We'll see you right after the break. You are watching The Breakdown.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Rhea Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
The mother of Brittany Robinson is searching for answers. Brittany vanished June of 2012 at 14 years old. She was last seen with her estranged father, Demetric Lemond, in the Theodore Dawes area. Robinson never returned. She's been missing for 13 years and is now 28 years old. Her father was charged and stood trial for her murder, but was found not guilty because her body has not yet been found. Police are asking if you know anything to come forward. Please contact the Mobile Police Department. It's 251-208-1700. Well, in case you missed it on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland talked with Newport News Mayor Philip Jones about the U.S. joining Israel in launching an attack in Iran. Jones, a Marine veteran, explains what this means for our country.
States and Israel launched an attack against Iran on Saturday. It's been an air war taking place, not only there, but also Lebanon, Dubai, so many other countries being impacted. Iran has been firing missiles at U.S. air bases in surrounding nations that have been supporting the United States in this effort. And so what we've seen, folks, is with epic fury. They've been targeting officials, military commanders. They took out the Ayatollah Khomeini. He was killed, some 86 years old. But the question is, what is the exit strategy? Today, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth spoke about this war.
To the media outlets and political left screaming endless wars, stop. This is not Iraq. This is not endless. I was there for both. Our generation knows better, and so does this president. He called the last 20 years of nation-building wars dumb, and he's right. This is the opposite. This operation is a clear, devastating, decisive mission. Destroy the missile threat, destroy the Navy, no nukes.
Now, folks, it was interesting, of course, in 2016 when Trump was running, also in 2020 and 24. He often would ridicule Democrats by saying they were going to be taking America to war. In fact, he even tweeted that, if the poll numbers get low, Obama's going to attack Iran. Isn't that interesting? Here's what he said in 2024 about war.
You're not going to have a war with me, and you're not going to have a third world war with me. That I can tell you.
A lot of conservatives have been criticizing him because he said no new wars, spoken against military action, saying that it was wrong for what we did in Iraq and Afghanistan, costing taxpayers billions upon billions and trillions of dollars. I'm going to play a little bit more sound of this meandering news conference he had today, where he was talking about what's taking place in Iran. Then he all of a sudden started talking about the drapes in the East Room. Absolutely bonkers news conference. A lot of folks have been talking about this year. The polling data, the war against Iran is frankly highly unpopular as well. Joining us right now is the mayor of Newport News, Philip Jones. He served as a major in the Marine Corps, and he's criticized Donald Trump, his authority to initiate strikes in Iran. He's urging Congress to take action, but the reality is Republicans control the House and the Senate. That's not going to happen. Mayor Jones, glad to have you here. First and foremost, 3 American service members have died. Trump says this could be another 4 or 5 weeks. And then he gives an interview with the New York Times where he said, this would be very similar to what we did in Venezuela, where they took out the president, kidnapped him, arrested him, but then turned around and said, we're going to tell them how to run their country. That ain't going to work with Iran.
No, not at all. So first of all, I just want to say, Roland, thanks for having an Omega on your show. Really appreciate it. I'm the mayor of Newport News, excited to be on. What I would say is this is not going to work with Iran. Think back to the history that we have with this country. We started a coup in that country in the 50s, along with Great Britain over oil. At the end of 1970, there was an overthrow of a rebellion with the Shah. We have been meddling with Iran for decades, and they are tired of it. What I would say is this. Number one, Iran is the chief sponsor of terrorism across the globe. Number two, they have killed tens of thousands of their own citizens. That being said, only Congress has war powers.
So you said something that I think is critically important, and a lot of people have no idea. As a matter of fact, I saw something earlier today on a social media account, and they talked about how this all began in 1979 when the Iranians overtook the United States Embassy. That's a lie. What people don't understand about this history, I was on Ricky Smiley's show this morning talking about this here, is that in 1951 and then culminating in 1953, with the United States, what we did is we stepped up and said to Anglo-Iranian Oil, now known as BP, when Mossadegh, the Democratic Prime Minister, said they want to do an audit of the oil because they felt they were not getting enough money for their oil. Well, Anglo-Iranian Oil, again, now known as BP, said, hell no, that's not happening. And it was Iranian oil that actually was building Britain during that particular time. They were sort of hesitant to take some action against Mossadegh. Our government, the CIA, says, hey, we'll do it. So we start dropping flyers and other things, causing instability in that particular country that led to a coup. We install a Shah of Iran, who frankly was repressive, leader of that country, and then that's who they overthrow in 1953. Now, Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, openly talked about we did the exact same thing. We undermined the economy in Iran, fomented the dissent there, and now we see what's going on. And what I said is, well, we have to understand these things are complicated. Yes, Iran sponsors terrorism, but the reality is there are complexities here in terms of their relationship with other countries. You see them firing missiles at airports in Dubai. Now you're shutting down airspace, and that's the hub all throughout the Gulf, connecting the rest of the world. So it's not as simple as bomb a country, hey, they should get new leadership, everything is great, we can walk away.
Hey, Ron, I think I lost you, but I'm back now. What I would say is, think back through the history. This has always been about oil in the beginning. We helped to overthrow a democratically elected president. We installed the Shah, and then there was a revolution. So this has, tendrils across history. What I would say is my biggest concern is that there are Americans that are now in danger. And number two, President Trump promised that we're not going to be in a forever war. There is no clear end state to what's going to happen. All I see is violence. And when I talk to people in military or veteran towns, they're worried about their kids and their family.
So one of the things that was just crazy today in this meandering news conference of Trump is that not one time did he mention freedom for the Iranian people. Now, the last month or so, he talked about that. And what people need to understand is that when President Obama was there was a deal negotiated regarding the Iranian nuclear program. Israel has always said Iran cannot get a nuclear bomb. And so what then happens? You have the deal. Trump comes in the first time, and he blows up that deal, gets rid of it, said it wasn't a good deal. And so now we're back to the drawing board. And so leaders in Amman said that Iran had agreed to every condition of the United States, but it was Trump, at the behest of Netanyahu, Israeli prime minister, who said, no, we want to bomb them, so we did. So what the hell is the whole point of having a negotiation if you're going to actually go to war? Now, if you're Iran, why the hell should I negotiate anything if you're going to go back on that? That's the position we're in right now.
What I would say is one of the most important things it's called the JCPOA. It's like the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And that was the plan that Iran was going to use. We were going to lift some of the economic sanctions, and in turn, they were going to stop developing a nuclear power. So what I would say is when we pulled out of that, on a personal note, Iran can never have access to nuclear weapons. We know that's going to be a bad thing. But what the president has failed to do is there's no end state. There's no plan. So all we've done is we've pulled out of the plan, and now there is no incentive for Iran to have anything to deal with us. And as I said before, Iran remains the #1 state sponsor of global terrorism. That's killing Americans across the globe and killing their own people, as well as with their proxies, hurting all global citizens. So what I would say is we need to have a plan, and we need to have some sort of war power resolution in the House or the Senate. We must have a co-equal branch of government. There are no kings here in America.
Right. I mean, I absolutely agree with that. But what you have with Republicans who are saying Trump can do whatever he wants.
Well, tonight on Roland Martin Unfiltered, Roland will discuss two significant multi-million-dollar verdicts against police in Chicago and Los Angeles. One case involves a botched raid, while the other concerns the shooting of an unarmed Black man. Tune in for these stories and more tonight, beginning at 6:00 p.m. Eastern, only on the Black Star Network. Well, coming up after the break, a powerful conversation about anxiety, grief, and redefining what strength really looks like at a time when so many Black women are carrying heavy crowns in silence. This story challenges us to see resilience differently. Stay with us. This story only on The Breakdown. And if you love the work that we do right here on the Black Star Network, know that your support is critical. You can support us via Cash App using the Stripe code. We will put that there. It's in the bottom left-hand corner. You can also help us out with credit cards. Use the same thing. PayPal's R. Martin. Unfiltered, Venmo's RM Unfiltered. Zelle at RolandSMartin.com. Rolling at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. If you're old school, you can send us a check or a money order. It's all payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196 in Washington, D.C. P.O. Box, well, zip code 20037-0196. Our goal is to raise $1 million by December 31st. And folks, we really appreciate your support. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey y'all, welcome to The Other Side of Change, only on the Black Star Network and hosted by myself, Reecie Baker, and my good sis, Jamira Burley. We are just two millennial women tackling everything at the intersection of politics, gender, and pop culture.
And we don't just settle for commentary. This is about solution-driven dialogue to get us to the world as it could be and not just as it is.
Watch us on the Black Star Network, so tune in to The Other Side of Change.
Violent white supremacy is, quote, the most persistent and lethal threat in the homeland.
The greatest terrorist threat to the homeland is the homegrown violence stream, including hate crime committed on behalf of some kind of white supremacist ideology.
They are coming after everything in Black America. MAGA and Donald Trump are specifically targeting Black America. They are going after the money. Attack Black Lives Matter. Attack critical race theory. Attack woke, DEI. MAGA wants to defund Black America. This is a perfect example of their desire to completely degrade and de-emphasize Black people.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
She can wrap up. She can just do a tease and say shot.
Well, here is a conversation that you will definitely want to hear. It's about how we handle resilience. We're taking a powerful look at healing, legacy, and what it means to be strong. The memoir, Resilience Found Me, a memoir of anxiety, grief, and passing the crown by Pamela Anita Mary Davis, is an intimate and courageous account of navigating anxiety, enduring personal loss, and learning how to redefine resilience, not as silence, but as truth. And at a time when so many of us are balancing professional success with private battles, this conversation feels especially timely. Joining me now is author Pamela Anita Mary Davis. Pamela, welcome to The Breakdown.
Thank you for having me, Brittany.
Absolutely. Let's go back to the beginning. Tell me about why you decided to write your memoir.
Well, I decided to write my memoir because my mother passed away of colorectal cancer and kidney failure. And May Helen Richard was everything to me. And I wanted to start that healing process of how does it truly feel to grow through grief. But I know that it wasn't just for me, but it was other people that needed to know that God gives us beauty in traumatic experiences.
Mm. And I know you've also been very open about your battle with anxiety.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
about that.
Yes, so when it comes to anxiety, I first had my first anxiety attack when my uncle Ornette Kerr passed away while I was attending the University of Missouri Columbia. Some know it as Mizzou. And it really damaged me in a way, but I started putting tools that changed my life, such as therapy and deep breathing and going to a HBCU because I had to come back home, going to a HBCU, enrolling into the illustrious Harris-Stowe State University changed my life because I heard one word that transformed me, and that was resilience. Someone told me at a leadership conference that you are resilient, and I was bold enough to believe it.
And tell us a little bit more about how that grief reshaped your identity, not just emotionally, spiritually, and professionally now.
Yes, so grief shaped my identity by knowing that I have to run with purpose. I truly believe that when my mother passed away, there was a mantle that was passed down from her life to my life. So I think different, I move different, I speak different. And what I want to do is to make sure that I am encouraging not just myself, but others to move and walk in purpose and truly pass the crown.
Tell us a little bit more about what that title means, passing the crown.
Yes, yes. So with passing the crown, it was in 2020 when I heard an executive say that the Black talent pool is limited. And I began to shake my head no, because we have so many creatives, so many entrepreneurs, so many people working for corporate America. That's not possible. And I began to think about this term, pass the crown. And when we think of pass the crown, we think of those individuals, whether it was your mother, your grandmother, your father, your brother, your sister, even a friend or mentor who was willing to pass down the jewels they learned to pass it down to you in order for you to be strong and walk in prominence to shine your light like a city on a hill.
Did you ever feel that unspoken expectation that Black women just must be strong at all costs? Did you ever feel that pressure?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. I do believe that sometimes that pressure starts in the home. You know, you don't really tell what's going on inside of the home. But yes, absolutely. And when I felt that pressure, I knew that I had to learn the ability to be still. And I learned that in grief. I learned about inner joy and stillness and a higher level of purpose in grief.
I would say resilience is often celebrated, but you challenge how we actually define it. How do you define resilience today compared to how you once did?
Yeah, so my personal definition is resilience starts when the answers are unknown, but you continue to push forward. It's not just about strength, but it's the ability to acknowledge your weaknesses and know that God is doing a greater work in you for you to truly walk in purpose.
I know you mentioned therapy earlier, but tell us more in depth. What role did faith, therapy, and community play in your healing journey?
Absolutely. So therapy, I believe that Jesus and a therapist is what you need in order to succeed,
Amen.
especially when it comes to anxiety and especially when it comes to grief. And what my therapist taught me, I remember when my mom passing away and I said, I am going to therapy. And I actually made an appointment right before her service, her homegoing service. And I told my therapist that all of the things that I was going through. And she said, Pam, be present and honor your mom. And that's what I did on that day at her homegoing service. And that's what I will always do, is be present and honor May Helen Richard.
I know that that was especially difficult
Yes,
to bury
yes.
your mom. Was there a chapter that was particularly difficult to write?
Oh, Brittany. Absolutely. The most difficult chapter to write in this book, and what almost stopped the writing of Resilience Found Me, was chapter 10, and that is Still a Miracle. I did not want to write that chapter, but when my mother passed, God told me that she was still a miracle because of the role that she played in my life and the role that she played in others' life. So I had to cry. I had to go to therapy. I actually encourage other authors to go to therapy while they are writing their book, because it's such a beautiful process. So it's very important to me that you have to make sure that you have a board of a board of influencers. So it was just a great experience to have a therapist to walk along the journey, and also to have my brother Derek Richard to walk along the journey of the healing process as well.
No, I'm glad your brother was there to support you. I
Yes.
realize that memoirs can be freeing, but they can also reopen wounds. What would
Yes.
you say surprised you the most about yourself during this process of writing?
I think the process of writing for me is that Pam is a little stubborn. Pam is very stubborn, but this process of writing opened up the opportunity of knowing that you have to be obedient to the work that God has called you to do. You simply have to give God a yes, because it will open up so many doors for you, and it will start that journey of healing, empowerment, and just being who you are called to be.
What do you hope this book gives to the next generation, especially young Black women who feel like they're carrying a crown that's just too heavy?
I hope this book not only just give empowerment, but I hope this book gives an opportunity for young women to know that they can do anything. It doesn't matter if anxiety and grief is at your doorstep. You step over it, you overcome it, and you know that you are here for a greater good, because someone is waiting on your resilient story, someone is waiting on your light, and someone is waiting for you to be your authentic self. So I hope that Black women, young Black women, know that this book will give love, peace, joy, and definitely happiness.
Pamela, thank you so much for your transparency, your courage,
Yes,
and for
thank
reminding
you.
us, that strength is, it does not mean silence. Resilience Found Me, a memoir of anxiety, grief, and passing the crown. Right now, it is available on Amazon and through major online retailers. Thank you so much, Pamela.
Thank you, Brittany, for having me. This has been truly a joy.
It has been a joy for us too. Thank you. Before we let you go, we want to remind you to shop blackstarnetwork.com. There you can support a growing collection of Black-owned businesses, all featured there on the site, from apparel and accessories to unique gift items. You can discover brands there on the marketplace that are doing incredible work, and that way you can keep our money circulating in our community. And whether you're shopping for yourself, looking for gifts, planning ahead, you can find it there on our website. And that is shopblackstarnetwork.com. Support the network, support Black-owned businesses, support the culture. That's going to do it for us today on The Breakdown. We want to thank you for spending part of your day with us. Be sure to keep the conversation going online. You can find me online at The Noble Journalist. Of course, we always want to hear from you. Send us your questions, your story ideas, whatever's happening in your community. And do not forget, we'll be right back here tomorrow with more news, more context, and more voices that matter. For more news, special coverage, and on-demand content, visit blackstarnetwork.com. Check out everything that's happening across the site. I'm Brittany Noble, and we will see you again for The Breakdown tomorrow. Have a great day.